Milk Jug Mafia episode 7. I actually did write and went back and counted before I got on here just to talk. But my new official co-host, Rachel, my mom warrior, she is going to be the main one who kind of comes on here and dissects all these broad and controversial topics with me. So I just want to say everything that you're about to hear, we already recorded, just casually hanging out, talking last night. Like, this was just a conversation me and her had, and y'all were lucky enough to hear it. So anybody that truly sits and listens to this thing in its entirety, I love you and I appreciate you.
When you tell them to do something simple and they're like, I'm not that type of fairy tale man, and it's something like just opening my door, you're going to the store, you're thinking about me,
Like
you're
chivalry.
picking up my, favorite candy, or
Like chivalry.
yeah,
Being thoughtful.
being thoughtful, and it's just like, you knew who I was when I met you. What?
You know, my child's father, his mom said that to me. And I was just like, I get where people come from when they say that. Because that is true. You have to take fault in, the part you play in assessing the people you deal with. But at the end of the day, when someone claims to care about you or love you or whatever the case is, when life changes and the circumstances changes, if someone cares about you, they should accommodate what's going on. Like,
They're gonna adapt.
They should adapt to it in a way where it's like, okay, we doing this together, we're building together. It's not well, you got your thing and I got mine, and I'm too worried about what I got going on to care about you. I don't like that.
The statement itself, you knew me when I met you and all that, whatever, I said it wrong, but that's a selfish statement because, first of all, you can be with someone for 20 years and still learn stuff about them that you didn't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I knew.
And men like
who
to
you
pretend
were.
also. Men love to pretend and put on personas and pretend they're bigger than what they are. And then when they give up and don't want to keep pretending, they're like, oh, well, it was like
right, now it's too much.
You knew that about yourself when you met me.
Right.
So you pretended to cover that up.
Right.
And then when I figured it out, because you couldn't keep up that little fake persona you had,
Right.
now it's, oh, well, I'm this and give me a break and that. And no, you should have been real from the beginning, and maybe I would think you deserve it.
Or like, why is it, it's a good morning text, the first 4 months.
Fake.
And then you just stop. Why are you betting that? Why is that something? Because,
don't introduce me to a vibe you can't maintain. They said it perfect. Don't introduce me to a vibe you can't maintain.
Yeah, that's terrible, and I don't like that.
It's pathetic.
Because it's not you.
It's really inexcusable because the expectations on women are ridiculous.
Like, that is something that I want.
I want men to do right when it comes to shit like that. Because it's like, my thing is okay, like I say it all the time, if you feel like a woman don't owe you or you don't got to explain yourself to or whatever little narcissistic answer you're going to come up with, be by yourself then. Like, go.
They don't want they want it like in bits and pieces. Sometimes I want to be by myself. Sometimes I want to have a woman with me. Sometimes I want to be able to go with my boys. Sometimes
that shit ghetto.
Yeah.
That's ghetto, and I don't got time for it. That's why a man can't have me on lockdown. While you out figuring out what you want to do, I'm out with somebody else I'm out with somebody else. I don't care how nobody else operate. I ain't waiting on no man to figure out what he want, because all the men in my life that are stable and actually know what they want,
yeah,
they don't got me sitting around waiting. They out here doing it. Like,
I need the young women out here to know about standards. Like, you know what it is. You know what the word standard is, but do you know what standards are? Do you know what it means? Do you know the depth of a standard?
I think that women don't understand that standards are also subjective. Your standards should be based on what you've gone through and what you expect. And whether they're right or wrong can be tested amongst you and who you're dealing with. But like, ultimately, your standards shouldn't be based off what other people expect you to do.
And your standards have stuff to do with your morals. So
yeah, that's all personal stuff that you should be very secure on within yourself.
You don't settle. That means you're lowering your standards.
If you settle and you think you're ugly, ask yourself, am I ugly? If the answer is no, get off the floor.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say. If you ain't ugly, get up. Get off the fucking floor.
Yeah.
That's that shit I don't got time for. If you ain't ugly, it ain't nothing to talk about.
And that's why,
we ain't going for that.
I teach Miley, like, there's no
talk her well the way she talks.
Gonna just be for you off rip.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a love at first sight, but there's not. You're not gonna. Still, that doesn't mean he's for
love at first sight. Love at first sight for a young girl. If you're a teenager, that's lust. That's attraction. That's not real. That's just, oh, he looked good, but like if you ain't digging deeper, just make it fun and that's it. Don't be doing all that over somebody that just look good. Because love at first sight just means you think he look good. That's
and
it.
at this age of 35, I feel like trust conquers love.
It sure does. Loyalty, like the desire to want to be loyal, like no love can conquer that. You either want to be, either you built like that or you're not. And a lot of people ain't built like that. It's so funny people ain't built to be loyal, but know what it is or claim to know what it is.
Oh, because it's like having a relationship with God. It's too much sometimes. I have to do too much. It's hard to be loyal, and it's sad, but it's
hard
really,
to be.
It's really
another
hard.
word for loyalty that'll beat people up. It's hard for y'all to be selfless. It's hard for y'all to think of others before yourself.
Yeah,
it's exhausting. It's a hassle.
That's true.
You feel like you're owed if you have to even give any ounce of your own energy to someone else selflessly. Like you need a fucking wake up call if you think that the world owes you anything and you do nothing for others.
Even if you that way, it's because you're selfish.
Basically.
That even goes back to even the very beginning of what I said is when men say, "Oh, it's too you must want a fairy tale, man." Blah,
if you
blah.
think basic love is a fairy tale, eat a dick.
You're all that selfish.
If Rachel being nice about it, fuck y'all. If you think that, eat a dick.
We're gonna have our good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, I ain't having all these conversations with y'all because someone asked me that. They was like, "Why are you like?" They were like, "Why is your delivery like how I be talking to people?" And I was like, "Y'all ain't got nobody to talk to y'all like this." So guess what? It's my turn. Like I'm not finna be doing all that sugarcoating, Hansel and Gretel shit with y'all. Fuck y'all. Do better.
That was a terrible story. Hansel and Gretel. Didn't they get eaten?
But they was sweet as fuck. That's why they got ate.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's my thing.
Yeah,
stop being soft as hell.
Yeah.
That's y'all problem. Suck that shit up.
Have you seen, it's kind of, I mean, I'm not going to say it's trending. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of it, but it'll be like the guy, oh, damn, I lost my train of thought. But the guy basically, I gotta come back to it, but it's so good, and it's just like when I think about it and it comes together, it's like, oh yeah, it'll give you something to talk about.
Hopefully you get it together.
Well, I mean, call them hoes. A lot of people call them fast women that have made other women look less than because that seems to be popular right now. I mean, it's been popular for a long time, but even more so in this day and age, women are acting like the men. Women are saying fuck men. Women are acting like hoes. Women are acting too fast. And so when a man sees a woman, now it's like most women can't even be wives or be looked at as classy because all the other women or all the other things that they see have made other women look less than, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. So it's actually funny you said that because I was reading this post on Facebook and I'm going to read it to you. But the initial surface of your statement, I think that people should not be generalizing each other. So to me, it's kind of weak-minded and pathetic for men or other older women or whoever to judge what another woman might do based on, and I'm not saying just because you like city girls, you're not a hoe or you are a hoe. I'm just saying the city girls, I've liked them since they came out, and I've watched JT and Miami closely, and I get that what they rap about may be derogatory and may be tasteless to some, but if you listen to how these artists articulate themselves and to how they establish who they are in the industry, you shouldn't be using these celebrities as a person to fill your persona or as a person to identify with. Like, oh, she's just like me, she ratchet, she did, so I'm you shouldn't be doing that anyways. And as a man or whoever else, you shouldn't be insinuating, oh, she like city girl, so she this type of person. You may just think, oh, they're fun. It's fun to let loose and just music like that. And then some people may be like, oh, I identify with this person, so I'm going to take on who they are as a person and make that my persona. That type of female is weak. And if you as a person, if you generalize women that like that and assume that they all like the same stuff, it's like, you're a weak person too. Because yes, there are girls that like the city girls that do act like that and identify with that, and there are some people who just see it as fun, entertaining, women empowerment.
Well, they know how to separate themselves.
It's okay to have
music.
You can't deny that there are scenarios where you're like, fuck these niggas, because there are scenarios like that. But that doesn't mean that you generalize all men and think all men are capable of doing these treacherous things. You just think, you know what, I've been through this and I want to let loose and say fuck a nigga. But that's because of one person. Songs are interpreted. If you take in music that deeply to where you have to identify who you are as a person with what other people are putting out, you're taking it too serious.
Well, it's
to
like,
me,
it's like
too serious.
Nowadays, you know, okay, so because city girls are very influential, and so you see now a lot of women are like, you know what? The city girls are right. Fuck a man. I need to get that bag first. So if he can't do this, this, and this for me, then fuck him.
I feel like
this is the playbook now.
That's a phase I feel like some women have to go through. And I mean, it doesn't have to be extensive, but I feel like some women have to just go through that. And some people don't have the women in their life to tell them, like, hey, you don't deserve that, walk away. And if City Girls is the closest thing they have to some type of empowerment to have that confidence to get up and leave, cool. Maybe her or Tim's or one of those other softer singing women will catch them one day and they'll be like, you know what, I want to be soft and I want to relearn love, and I need to realize that, you know, because I've been through my aggressive stages where I'm just like, fuck a man, but then I've also regressed back and been like, look, I don't want to feel this way and this isn't the way things were supposed to be, so let me step back and find someone who meets me where I'm at and doesn't act like that, because there are men outside of the minority groups, certain minority groups, that don't act like that. They weren't raised like that, or they don't even identify with those types of behaviors. Like, there are men you act crazy with one time and they're like, I ain't fucking with you because I ain't grow up like that. They don't understand that.
Right.
So it's like, you can't generalize people. You have to get to know people for who they are. Like, but that's just being a child of God. Everybody don't get that. Right. Everybody not understand that we're all his children.
So, I mean, I like the way you broke it down. Basically, no one should be generalizing anybody. This is, no matter what one group of women has done, everything is circumstantial.
It is.
And you need to always see for yourself, even if you are going on a blind date, you pull up and this blind date is listening to City Girls. As a man, do you automatically think, okay, she's a hoe? No.
Yeah, you should give her a chance.
You should give her a chance.
At least. I mean, I can understand kind of making some pre-assumptions and just kind of, you know, maybe asking certain questions to fish for answers because of her music choice. I respect that, but like, don't to make, you know, just completely baseless assumptions off of somebody that you really don't know just because of what they like to listen to is weird. Because I know I've been on dates with guys who were intellectual, interesting, smart, and they listen to NBA Youngboy. I wouldn't listen to NBA Youngboy on a boring day of the week.
Right.
I mean, and that's just, you know, you can't, music is art. Art is so interpretive. Art, sculptures, paintings, plays, symphonies. I love art. So when I say this, I mean it like with my whole chest. People don't understand that you can love all different types of art, but that doesn't identify within your character. Sometimes you just appreciate things for being what they are. Like, it's not like, I love rock. I love everything but country music. No fucking lie. I will sit in this car and listen to everything but country. I'm not doing it. But everything else, I got you. I'll play a rock song right now. Just, we can headbang right now. Like, that shit go crazy to me. It's like a anxiety release to listen to the guitar just go and not stop. But like, people don't get that because they're either liking music or other people told them to like it or whatever the case is. Like, you know, people
Isn't that crazy?
I had a whole episode not before this where I said that people don't identify with who they are because they're too scared. They're like, oh, someone gonna judge me because I like rock, or someone gonna judge me because I like a little goth, or like, who cares what the fuck people, who fucking gives a fuck?
That's a skill. That's a skill to be able to say,
it must be.
I don't care what people think about me.
It's not hard.
Because before they're saying, I don't care what people think about me, they're looking at who can I imitate and who can I be like, because I don't know who I am. So, you know, to say that, it's like, okay. So, complete subject change. What do you think about, what is the very first thing when you meet a guy? What is the very first thing you look at or look for?
Physically or
in general?
So when I first meet a guy, I'm definitely looking at if he got a haircut.
Okay.
I'm definitely looking at that. Like, if we're going to go out with physical, I'm looking at you if you got a haircut. I'm looking at how much he touches himself. I'm looking at, seriously, like, I remember I went out with a guy who we were at Waffle House, and he touched the menu so much, like, playing with it. I'm like, bro, that's the one thing in this restaurant everybody touches. Why are you touching that? Like, and you think you're going to put your hands on me at some point in time? I don't think so.
Do you think it was a nervous thing?
No, I don't think he was thinking about me. I think he was just like impatiently waiting for service and was just messing with the menu. But I don't like men that touch everything. I don't like men that got dirty fingernails. I don't like long fingernails. I don't care if they're dirty or clean.
You first meet a guy, you guys like.
I'm looking at his hygiene.
Pull up to the same spot at the same time, and you're like, okay, he has a haircut.
Yeah, I'm looking at haircut, nails, how your nervous system is, like, for real, because looks don't particularly matter, but how cautious you are in a public environment does matter. And I'm not saying you got to be checking yourself every 10 minutes and all that, but like a man who's just standing there, chest out, ready to size you like fuck is up, like that's the nigga I want, because you're not thinking about nothing. You fear nothing. You're just here, like, I'm me, this is me, chest out.
All right, so his confidence is good.
I'm looking at body language for real.
So like, next is body language.
Yeah, like, I mean, all of that comes with physical to me. Like, how you're standing goes to me, all that goes together. Because I'm going to look at how you present yourself and if you're even approachable. So it's like, because I'm not scared to talk to no man, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you kind of want a man that look like he not, insecure or got a awkward look to him. Like, you're going to look at that first. Like, you're going to know if a man's confident within himself or not when you first look at him or approach him. But like, if we going to talk about like off of a conversation, I'm definitely looking at like, because I'm not going to change how I talk for a man. So like, if I speak in a very proper or formal way, I'm going to see how you respond to it. I'm not going to adjust how I talk because you're not used to that. Like, I respect a man more. Like, hey, that's a big word. What you said? Like, I'd rather you ask me to explain it to you than to just keep talking to me in circles like you're slow. So it's like, look, I don't know what you got going on, but you better talk to me like you got some sense.
Do you think that finding out his religious standpoint is like one of the first kind of topics of discussion you should have? Because like, if he's
not the first topic I have with a man.
Okay, but listen here. You do all this talking, you do all this vibing, and then you find out this man is an atheist. Are you dead in it right there?
I can't bring you home to my mama.
Okay, right? So, but I'm saying, isn't it important to know, like, right off the bat, like, all right, do you believe in God? Like,
would you not be friends with an atheist?
That's a good question. It depends on how it depends on how they represent themselves as an atheist. If they're being like that,
I mean, you would know that kind of flat out. Because my thing is there's a difference between being an atheist and just being the fucking devil.
Okay, well, let's take a moment and look at the word atheist, because to me, it's just, what if you're atheist and then you're out there saying that you hate God too? Like you're just being terrible to God, and I'm supposed to be your friend.
I mean, I guess it really just depends, for real. Because
I'm not gonna be your friend.
Because to me, an atheist is just someone who doesn't have a particular religious standpoint. Like, you don't believe in any deity.
It's okay. A person who disbelieves or lacks belief in the existence of God or gods.
Yeah, like they don't believe in a deity. They don't believe that there's a greater power or something. And I mean,
God,
my mom,
or gods.
Yeah, deities. So it's like, yeah, you don't believe in an official higher power, and you don't believe that there can be multiple sources of higher power. You don't believe in God.
We're chilling, and things come up when you're talking, right? And you start talking about whatever, and it's just like you don't believe in God, and then you start to kind of get passionate about it because you're atheist, and you're like, I freaking hate everybody that freaking thinks that God is real. They're just they sick of me. But these people walking around with T-shirts and they said God is my savior. And it's just like, I freaking hate those people. I really want to you're not gonna be friends with anybody like that.
I mean, you wouldn't particularly affiliate with somebody who is so passionate about it if they're willing. I feel like it's the will. I mean, I don't think I'm not trying to defend the atheist, but I feel like it is just the approach. Like, if you're just an atheist and you don't believe in a deity, there's two types of atheists you can be. You can just be one of those people who's just like, look, I don't want to talk about God. I don't want to discuss religion. I just don't believe in it. I don't want to talk about it. And then
you still have their friend?
But then I would be friends with somebody like that because we don't discuss religion. Religion shouldn't be the basis of whether.
Would you want your friend to go to hell?
I mean, that's what I want. Doesn't matter.
Would you not still attempt to tell them about God and why you feel like they should get to know God? If
they were going through something in their life that was like a strife, very depressing, like if they were going through something and God is the only answer I have for them, then yeah, whether they wanted to hear it or not, yeah. I'm gonna pray for you even though you don't believe. Like, it's not my... One thing I've learned about God, and I don't know if that's everybody's thing, but like with me, God taught me early in like detachment. I had to learn it and unlearn it and learn it again. So my thing with people is if you're a good person and we get along, you are a child of God to me, and I respect you and I want to love you and I don't want to see you come to harm. I can't in that same breath chastise you and judge you and be all that extra. And I'm not saying that that's what I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, in general, like, there's certain stuff that's just not worth my time because of what I am detached from. There's only so many things I have control over, and I know I am a compulsive person. So I have to let certain things go. I can't worry about an atheist. It will drive me insane. Right. Because I'm like a salesman. I'm going to be like a salesman when it comes to God. I'm going to sell it to you, baby. Right. And you need to buy. Yeah. So, but that's what it's like. That's not my place to do that. I personally don't think that that's my place to do that. In general? It's not. I'm not saying I can't talk to nobody about God and my beliefs and stuff like that, but like, you can't hound people. It's the same thing with... No. It's the same thing with the LGBTQ. People. You can't do that to people. You cannot. No, you cannot. It's unfortunate. It says that in the Bible that you're not supposed to do that. You can't do that. You can tell them, but every person you meet, would you say something to them about God? Would you talk about would you have a problem? I feel like you know when to bring up God when you meet people. Do you feel the need to bring up God every time you talk to somebody or meet somebody? No, but do you think we should? No. I think that you should bring up God. You know when to bring up God. There's not too much or too little of a time. You bring up God when it feels right to do it, whether they want to hear it or not. All right. Because that's what you believe. All right. So you think that person you're around should respect that, atheist or not. Think about it. And if I know as an atheist you don't respect that, yeah, you out of there. That's simple math. We got to come back to that because I'm definitely not done with the atheist thing. It's crazy because I have a story. I kind of want to circle back to what you were saying about women being more masculine and stuff like that, because I was on Facebook the other day, and there was this experiment called Universe 25. And basically this scientist he did this experiment with 4 rats and mice, and he did it a bunch of on separate occasions. And what he would do is matter of fact, I'm gonna read it to you, because what he would do is he would basically put them in there with food. It would only be 4 mice, and that's all you need to reproduce: 2 females, 2 males. And here we go. The Universe 25 experiment is one of the most terrifying experiments in the history of science, which, through the behavior of a colony of mice, is an attempt by scientists to explain human societies. The idea of Universe 25 came from American scientist John Calhoun, who created an ideal world in which hundreds of mice would live and reproduce. More specifically, he built a so-called paradise of mice, specially designed space where rodents had an abundance of food and water, as well as large living space. In the beginning, he placed 4 pairs of mice. In the short time, they began to reproduce, resulting in their population growing. I'm going to read through the rest of this. After 315 days, reproduction began to decrease significantly. In less than a year, reproduction began to decrease significantly. When the number of rodents reached 600, hierarchy was formed between them, and the so-called wretches appeared. The larger rodents began to attack the group, which the males began to collapse psychologically. As a result, the females did not protect themselves because they didn't know how, because the men started out doing that. Because naturally it was just the 4 of them. So the men did it it makes perfect sense when you done read the Bible and then you read this. As a result, females did not protect themselves and became aggressive towards their young. A time went on, females showed more aggressive towards behavior in isolation elements and lack of reproductive mood. There was a low birth rate and at the same time an increase in morality in younger rodents. Then a new class of male rodents appeared, the so-called beautiful mice. They refused to mate with the females or fight for their space. All they cared about was food and sleep. At one point, beautiful males isolated and made majority of the population. Then there's death phases and the morality declined more. And he did this, it says, where is it at? Where is it at? 2 years after the start of the experiment, the last baby of the colony was born. By 1973, he had killed the last mouse in the universe 25. John Calhoun repeated the same experiment 25 more times, and each time the result was the same. Does that not sound familiar? Because you said that females want to be the man, da 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 da. Does this not sound familiar?
That's definitely what's going on right now.
That's what I'm saying, and it's like it's funny that you did this.
That made you think of that when I said that. I noticed that,
I'm gonna send that.
I think the more that's happened over time, you see the lack of how, like, the normality of a woman is. Like, now, that's why men say, oh, you can't find a woman that'll cook and clean and be
y'all aren't worth it.
Do all that because
the stress isn't worth it.
So much has happened. You've showed yourself. We now know what you do, what you are, what you're about. There's not men doing what the mice are doing in the beginning. So that definitely makes sense. And that's terrible. And it's so bad that men literally make themselves be women. And there's all that freaking,
not even make themselves be women, but they literally demasculinize themselves and just are like, I don't care. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to be creative. I don't want to contribute anything to society. I literally just want to do nothing.
And they've even gone.
And then they feel entitled. And then they're like, oh, well, you better be glad I work. Yeah, you better be glad I work. At least I do that. Like, they're very entitled and delusional. Yes. And some of them join the military just so they can be something else. And I said the other day, anybody that want to be transgender should be on the draft. You want to do all that, you can go do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Women can be in the fucking military. I don't know why the fuck they started that bullshit.
Do you know when that started? Do you know the history of that? Do you know why?
All I remember is men went to war, women felt oppressed, and they fought for more and got too much. So is that not what happened? Because now they don't even care about giving us maternity leave for real. Like, I'm glad I work at home. I thank God himself I work at home. He is the only reason I work from home. The company I got my work from home, that literally has hashtag prayers of Jabez at the bottom of her thing. My aunt was reading those devotionals to me, and they were so inspiring. And it was funny that I actually got my work at home job through a lady that reads those same devotionals. That's why I tell everybody to go to her. I'm like, she's literally God sent. Like, you meditate on what you want. I meditated on what I wanted and redid my resume and got a job. Like, the job I wanted. I was like, I just want a job with no phones. And she literally sent on an email. I was like, this is a job, no phones. It was all caps. I did not apply to no other job on her website. And I applied to that one. And I've been working there for, 2 years?
It's fake, too.
That is nothing but, because I did nothing but. The only thing I did was redo. The only thought I had was, you know what, let me make my resume a little bit more thorough. Because people were always, that's another thing about society. They always in your ear about, like, what you should be doing and stuff like that. And it's like, when I really thought about it, I did my own resume for real, like, from scratch. Like, the best resume I have, I wrote it. And all I did was not really elaborate, but, like, I put into more intricate wording what I've done for all my jobs, because a lot of my jobs have asked me to do more than what I signed up for. So if you want to call them and ask them, they should be able to tell you I did do that, and I can prove to you I did it. So it's like, I'm gonna go ahead and make it sound good. And when I redid my resume, I got a lot of callbacks for a lot of jobs, but the job I wanted, I took that first. I was like, oh yeah, no phones, yeah. Thank you. You're exactly who I want. So
that
was nobody but God. It was nobody but God. I tell people that all the time. Like, if you got a little bit of patience and a little bit of time, like, you gonna get what you want for real. Like, you just gotta be a little bit humble. Really a lot. I ain't gonna lie. Probably a lot. But you really just gotta, like, have a lot of faith and just, like, not be greedy for stuff. Like, wait for it to come to you. Because once you get it, you don't really do anything but want something else.
I'm hearing that you gotta really sit back not be in control, not try to be in control.
You really can't. Yeah, because you're not.
You're not. Exactly.
You're not. You gotta just vibe out and live. I tell people that all the time. Like, just chill. You just be doing, just do stuff. And if something happens, it just happens. You got somebody to call and fall back on.
And the faith is
like God has children. When you're a child of God and you connect with those other children, you have somebody to fall back on. Like, you don't gotta freak out. You can just be like, hey, look, like.
And isn't that a peace? Isn't that the peace that you can't buy? You can't.
Yeah, you can. Like
you know that
you gotta be, but that's why you have to be humble. Because you gotta be there for people. So that way when you
trust what you say. If you're gonna rely on something fully, let it go. I think that's it right there. I mean, because I think I was just talking to you about, like, I don't know how to let it go, and it's really letting go of something. The only way you can actually do it is give it to God and feel as if someone just showed you a positive outcome, so you know you're gonna be okay.
And my family tells me that. They're always like, look, just give it to God. There's not much else you can do but that. Like, just release it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. But there's parts of me where like I was talking to my dad the other day about like journaling and writing down like your feelings or thoughts, ideas and stuff like that. And, you know, my dad was saying, like, you know, how sometimes, you know, he pretty much was saying like it's not, he didn't say it was a bad thing to do, but, you know, he was like, it's kind of a pointless thing to do. And I had to tell him, and I had to tell him, I was like, I can see where you're coming from with that, because you're talking about it in that sense of people who don't know how to decipher their emotions. Because there are some people, it's like, yeah, you just writing it down just to write it down. But like for me, I grew up in a sense where I had no other way to express myself but write stuff down. So now when I write stuff down, having the freedoms and the control over myself as an adult, it's hard because I can say whatever I want and do whatever I want. But understanding that people aren't receptive to how I am and people didn't grow up like how I did and they don't think like I do, sometimes it's better for me to write stuff down, because sometimes sharing with the world or sharing with other people that don't get it, you're like allowing negative spaces into what you're thinking and to what you're feeling, and it kind of clouds your perception of everything. And I didn't really realize that until I got my control of my own life, because I wasn't taught that. I was raised by shady ass motherfuckers. So it's like, when you grow up, when you grow up around deception and you get older, you're like, bro, I just want everybody to tell me the truth. But then when you talk too much, it's like people give you more than what you really asked for. And it's like, now I'm at a point where I'm glad I started this podcast, because it's like, if you really want to know how I feel, here it is. So, or now I'm going to do that stuff on Kindle, because I'm really just going to start writing. Like, I could write all day, every day until I'm sick. So
even people
I get it.
that don't know how to write for what they're writing for. Literally,
it's good to just get it out,
just
bro.
to write,
or even like they say to write it and burn it.
Side of your.
Have you ever burned what you write? There's some stuff where like if you like write, even just like if you write out a list of goals or something you want to do, like if you like write something out and like burn it, seriously, you would be surprised what happens with that. I'm so serious. I'm not. I remember last year.
Just laughing at the fact that you just burning something and
because last year my aunt, she did this thing with like, it was like some special eclipse or something like that after Christmas, and she was like, it was like around New Year's, and she was like, we should write down all of our New Year's resolutions or goals or whatever you want on a paper, and we lit a candle. And we like burn the candle and put our, you know, all of our resolutions under it. And I kid you not, everything I wrote down. And I'm one of those people where like if I like pray or manifest something, it's very specific. So like what happened that following year after I did that, that's when all that stuff happened, when I fell out with like when all that stuff happened, I was like, that's crazy, because I didn't ask for like a new bed or a new car. I was like, I need you to like sweep me out, bro. Like if you got like people,
it's not gonna go.
Yeah, I was like, I need you to get these. Like if somebody need to go, it's like serious sweep. Like, and I had a serious sweep that year of people I never thought I would have fell out with, and it's like, oh, so that's how this works. I was like, oh, that's how this works.
It removes things.
I was like, oh, man. I was like, oh, that's a bit. Okay, so this last year we did it again. Sweet. And I didn't ask them to sweep people out. I was just more like, look, I want you to get me more grounded, focused on specific things. And I continue to ask God for clarity. Like I've asked him for too much. I know too much. I know stuff I shouldn't know. So it's like, you know what? It's just like at a point now where it's like you get what you ask for with him. You really, really do.
Yeah. There's times I've said, God is so cool. And
seriously.
The way that he showed you your confirmations, and that when you do give it to him and you do fully rely on him, he will show you the confirmations and you'll be like, oh my gosh. You'll be telling people. And that's what I mean. Like, when you're on fire for God, it's hard for you not to tell people about him, because what you go through and what you've seen, when he used to do miracles and he used to say, go tell the people. And they used to run and tell what Jesus did. They was on fire, telling everybody.
This is why I like reading all that shit. Just interesting.
What's going on?
Nothing. It's just something I read, but no, nothing. I heard what you said.
Oh, y'all still heard that listening. You're active listening. That's another thing. Active listening is very important.
It is.
And it's kind of...
And you know what I want to talk to you about too? Because I'm not going to say too much because I don't name drop. But like, I was into it the other day with this girl I went to high school with. And like, I mean, we still cool and stuff. It's just more of one of those difference of opinion kind of thing. But she was like, we were going back and forth about an opinion about this girl who presents herself, Sukihana, like she presents herself like as a whole, and she does porn and all this sort of stuff. And she felt embarrassed by a situation and stuff, and she was like, you know, I feel like if you act like a hoe, you should be treated like that, this and that, blah blah. And I was like, but who are you to treat somebody with any type of disrespect just because they live like? I'm not saying I do porn and I'm a hoe and I got an OnlyFans or whatever, because she's very frivolous with her sex lifestyle and all that. Like, that's her business. It's not nothing I have to really entertain. What does that do for me to entertain her? So it's like, I don't think she deserved to be disrespected. Like, who are you to say she couldn't be embarrassed? And then she got into saying like Eve was the first one to commit sin and this and that. And she had happened to see something me posting about reading the Bible more. And she was like, if you read this part of the Bible and this and that. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, regardless of if I've read what you read, we're going to interpret the Bible differently anyways. But if you want my full opinion, yes, Eve did commit the first sin. She committed to the first sin. She was the first initiator of it. But it was Adam's choice to indulge with that with her. He was already instructed.
Yeah.
So regardless,
definitely. That's
my whole thing is that basically, and when you get to the part of the book when he talks about Noah, he says, I created a great error when I created man. There was flaws in man that he saw early on, which is why he did what he did. So my whole thing is if we're supposed to be children of wherever, like whatever part of the Bible, it's just like these are stepping stones. If that's what the beginning is supposed to be, if it's a storytelling of how it all started and what came to be where we're at now, the part where Adam and Eve is like, okay, what does Adam and Eve have to do with a harlot? Because even if he created
what? A harlot?
A harlot, like, because that's what that's what I told her. I was like, I said I read in Proverbs where God speaks in depth about how harlots lead men astray, and they're pretty much like the devil, basically, or they lead you towards the ways of the devil, regardless. So it's like, I understand what she is and what she represents, but that doesn't mean, that's like saying like, oh, well, if it's the devil, you got to kill him and you got to do this and that. Why do you have to do anything? You can know someone's good or bad for you or whatever and handle it how you want to handle it. Why does everything have to be handled with? And my thing is that's why a lot of people don't like Christians and a lot of people don't like to be religious. You're trying to judge a girl because she's a hoe and she has OnlyFans. So you're saying that this man can't, because he like hugged her, like kissed on her, and she was uncomfortable. And she's like, oh, well, you fuck whoever do it. Like, you're saying that, like, oh, well, she do what she want with her body, so it's just open for anybody. Like, she deserves no respect because of that. That doesn't make sense. Someone, because they're a hoe, they don't get personal space. That does not make sense to me.
No,
I don't. Me personally, I don't think that you are not deserving of personal space
because they choose to be a hoe.
It's not. It's at their consent. No one's coercing them. No one's pimping them out.
If they're uncomfortable doing something, they're not going to do it, and they're going to move on.
Yeah, as an individual, if you say I'm not comfortable with this, you deserve that respect. It doesn't matter if I don't respect your lifestyle. I'm not gonna not give you respect. I can say I don't respect what you do, but like I'm not gonna beat you up about. Like, I'm not gonna.
Because who are you?
Who am I?
It's always about who are you. Do not throw the stone.
You are not a stone caster. Keep that. That's a little too scary for me. I use that with
my children. You know, don't throw stones. Look at yourself. What have you done? Imagine if you were getting caught or you were in that position. I'm telling you, people don't think about it. It's very selfish. It's selfish to think that she didn't deserve consent. So people, saying people can rape her now. Like she's free to be. Excuse my language. She's free to be fucked.
That's what I think. Like when she said that, I'm like, so you think that a man can just walk up to her and do whatever to her, and she deserves it because of how she conducts herself? And I'm like, but if you hear how she how she talks in her interviews, she's very open about who she is and how she lives her life. And she even said it. She was like, I didn't want to make a scene then because, you know, I don't want to embarrass me or him, but it did make me uncomfortable. But it didn't make me uncomfortable like I felt violated. It was just, I was uncomfortable.
Why?
She doesn't have the right to be uncomfortable because she
up and said something.
For me, it was the fact that she was a girl. I'm like, you're a girl and you're saying this, and it's just like that's just wild to me. And for me, when I say something on my story, when I say something on my page, I said what the fuck I said. I didn't really set it up really for no debate for real. Whatever I say, it just goes.